Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining in person and all those online. Thank you for joining. I would like to start off by thanking Rabbi Yehoshua of Irgun Torah for all the incredible shiurim, daily shiurim, weekly shiurim, and all the initiatives taking place in Crown Heights. And also Rabbi Zalman Schneier from Mishkan Moshe together already for a couple of summers has been organizing this evening learning here in Crown Condos. Mishkan Moshe, evening learning with super provided. And for this amazing partnership with Mishkan Moshe and Torah, for people to come to a nice, cool, comfortable place, learn every night, participate in shiurim on various topics, and enjoy a dinner, perhaps while the family is away. Yeshikayach, may the Eibishter repay both of you and bench you with a lot of nachas from your children, and much continued atzlacha in the latest HaKodesh, which you do. So Rabbi Zalman Schneier, if anybody knows him, he's quite pushy, and he called me a couple of days ago and pushed me to speak tonight on the topic of practical tips every parent should know to prepare their child for school. So I will attempt to do exactly that. I do want to also thank various mechanical teachers who I work with, fellow menalim, therapists who I work with over the last few days since I was asked to present on this topic. Whoever I was talking to said maybe you have something to add. And a lot of the points that I've mentioned tonight were mentioned to me by mechanikim that I've been in touch with, and thank you for your input. It's greatly appreciated. So I want to start off with one of my favorite Torah that I learned many years ago, and of course I looked it up again now before I share it with you to make sure I have it accurate. And it's very, very important to understand the point of this Torah, and then the rest of tonight's share will be easy and self-understood after that. So we know that during Bayis Sheni, Yidden went through the story of Hanukkah. And Yevonim came, they were metami the base of Mikdash. Hashem waged war, and they came back to the base of Mikdash, and they saw a horrible sight. Everything was destroyed, everything was broken, all the oil was tummy. They wanted to light the menorah that night, and as we know the story goes, there was no pure oil. There was no shemen zayzah. There was no pure oil with the stempel of the Kohen Gadol that they were able to light. And the oil in the base of Mikdash needed to be taher, so they were not able to light the menorah. But we know that there was a nest. It's called Nest of Hashem. According to some opinion, that's why we celebrate the first day of Hanukkah, even though the nest is really only for 7 nights, because one jug of oil for 8 nights, one night was natural, right? So it's Nest of Hashem. It was a great miracle that one little jug of oil remained pure, untouched, and available to the Chashmonaim to be able to light the menorah that first night when they were being mechanech, the base of Mikdash from noon to light the shemen zayzah, entire the shemen zayzah. And that's what happened, and that's what happened. So the question is, and this is a famous question from the Rabbi Yehoshua, and Shabbos Daf Chafal, in the Sugi of Hanukkah, and the Rabbi Yehoshua asks the following question: why did Hashem have to make this miracle? It was needless. Especially we know that Hashem doesn't make miracles for no reason. Like which means that Hashem doesn't do miracles in vain. Only does a miracle if it's needed. There's a machlokes if Truma is Hutra of Tzibur or the Chuya of Tzibur, which means that when you're dealing with the Tzibur, with the cloud, with the community, there's a machlokes. You don't have a Taher option if you could use something that's tummy. And according to both opinions of this machlokes, the answer is yes, you can. One opinion says there's Truma of the Chuya of Tzibur. It's to the end. If you have no choice, there's no current option. If it's for Tzibur, you could use something that's tummy. And another opinion even holds that Truma Mutter of Tzibur, it's totally mutter, it's totally permissible, it's okay. So the Rabbi Yehoshua asks this very famous question: why did Hashem have to make this nest, the nest of Hashem, and not just that they should find the Hashem, the whole nest that the menorah burned for 8 nights? For what? They could have just lit tummy the oil, first night, the second night, the third night. So we knew it takes 8 days to power oil, then they start using power oil. They could have used tummy the oil. It's totally allowed according to all opinions. Why the nest? So the Rabbi Yehoshua gives his famous answer, and his famous answer is, Laharis Kibasun Shtei Yisrael, the Eibishter wanted to show to him how dear the Yidden were to him, how much Hashem loved us, loved the Yidden, Chashmonaim, they went on the stairs, they kept all odds. Everybody was assimilating. They kept Yiddishkeit. The Yiddish wanted to sort of say, repay us, show us the love that the Yiddish has for the Yiddish. The Yiddish performed this nest for us. That's why we have the nest of come. That's the Rabbi Yeshua's answer. Rabbi Yosef Enkel, in his Sefer Goyeni Hashas, also in Shabbat Tafkapal, he gives a different answer to this Rabbi Yeshua's question. And his answer, I'd like to read his answer, a little elaborate. The Rabbi Yosef Enkel in Goyeni Hashas says as follows, and I quote, Nira, the Kivan Shahayos Chanukas Habayis, Ki Bemochach Mima Shekayr in his Tarbatis and Asiyah Mechanical, the He Haskola Bereish, L'chal Hapal Achro, L'chino Hutzrach Shehiyah Betara B'mura, L'loi B'dichiyas Tara. Rabbi Yosef Enkel is essentially saying as follows, that he believes, because that first night that they were heading to the Meirah, they were being mechanech, they were inaugurating the Beis HaMikdash from new, because Beis HaMikdash was destroyed and desecrated up until that point. So they were being mechanech. They were starting off, mechanech means you're starting off when you're inaugurating. They were being mechanech the Beis HaMikdash. And he says, proof is from the fact that which tree is the pair that we read in Chanukah. We read about the Karbanis that in the sea brought by the Chanukah Samishna. So Chanukah was all about being mechanech the Beis HaMikdash. Therefore, he said, that first night is a haskola, it's a roish, it's the head, it's the beginning of everything that's going to come, it's the beginning of the future. Therefore, it was necessary, it was essential that the menorah of that night be lit with pure 100% power of the word on his words. Not to use any after the Tumah or not even Tumah Hator. Because it was the first night and we're relighting the menorah for the first time and being mechanech the Beis HaMikdash, when you start something off, you have to do it right. That's the message. When you start something off, you must do it right. And he brings rayas to this concept that Al-Pi Torah, and a halacha concept that Al-Pi Torah, when something's a beginning, when something's a first, not just a beginning, it's a first, it's a hikr, it's a right, it's a head to everything, for the whole future that comes after that day one. And he brings a couple of rayas from Gemara and Rishonim, and I'll bring one of them just to bring out this point, to make it Mishnah, and then we can start off with the next part. So we all know that when they built the Mishnah, the first 7 days were called the Shivas Yimei when Moshe Rabbeinu himself did the Avodah to get the Mishnah up and running, and he was showing Aaron and his sons how to do the Avodah in Beis HaMikdash. Then comes Vayehi Bayom Hashmini, it comes the 8th day. Shivas Yimei are complete. Today is the big day for the Yidden. Aaron HaKayin, he took a Nodal. Aaron HaKayin has 4 sons, Nodal, Avihu, Elazar, and Isamar. Aaron HaKayin has 4 sons. Today is day 1 for them to start doing the work, the Avodah, in the Mishnah. Moshe Rabbeinu is still with them to help them, he's teaching them, but they start doing the Avodah. Moshe Rabbeinu goes, and when you get a Shmini, you open up a Chodesh, you finish the Shmini, first couple of Sukkim, everything's going fine. They do this, and they shaf this, and they spray this, and they put it away together, and everything is going great. This is a huge day for Klein Strong. Shivas Yimei are over. It's Rosh Chodesh, there's Nisan, the Kayanim, 4 Kayanim, and their 10 mother, their father, are starting to do the Mishnah. Until something went wrong. A couple of Sukkim, the Hashishkini, we know that none of them who brought the Tyrus and they were not meant to, and they passed away. They killed for that. Now, other than Avihu were 2 brothers. They had 2 other brothers, Elazar and Isamar. Now, Elazar and Isamar just lost their brother. The first day of work. Elazar and Isamar just lost their brother. Aaron HaKayin just lost his son. So, what should they do? So we know Kayin Gadol is not allowed to be Matame Lumis, no matter what, no matter when, no matter who. He can never be Matame Lumis. A Kayin Hedyot could be Matame Lumis. A Kayin Hedyot has 7 cravens that he's allowed to be Matame to: a father, a mother, a spouse, his wife, and brother, sister, and son or daughter. There are 7 cravens that he's allowed to be Matame to. Elazar and Isamar just lost their brother, they're a Kayin Hedyot. But what does it say in the Pasuk? I'll read the Sukkim. And I'll translate afterwards. I'll skip some words. Basically, they got clear instructions from Moshe Rabbeinu from the Eibishter That the Lazar of the summer, I know you just lost your brother. You're not going to the Levaya, you're not tearing your clothing, you're not going to here, you're not doing any shiva, any available. You cannot go to your brother's Levaya. Don't leave the Mishkan. Continue doing the Halakha Arba, the way of the Mishkan. Question is why? They're a clan head. This is one of the 7 relatives. Their brother. They should be able to. So the Das game in the Valley of Texas, and the Christ compared this, you can see the Das game in the Valley of Texas. He asked this question. He said, Betema. Betema means it's a wonder. Why could they not go be with Tommy to their brothers? And he asks even more. The Das game asks even more. There's a medrash that says as follows. In Torah's Kaim, the medrash Torah's Kaim on this pasuk, it says, and it says as follows. The words of the medrash I quote. From here, we learn out that Kainim cannot be Mitami Tamis. So that's extra strange. First of all, we know that from somewhere else. There's a clear passage in the Torah that says, and I quote, that a Kainim is not allowed to be Mitami, to be a random person. So what do you mean, Kainim? Second of all, it's not even true. A Kainim could be Mitami Lamesi to one of the 7 relatives he named. So first of all, we have to understand why does the tell why they should tell them not to go to their brother's Levaya, not to do any shit or anything. Second of all, we have to understand what does the medrash say from here from Kach, that kind of time Mason. First of all, we learned it somewhere else, and it's not even true. They could okay, and it's allowed to be time with their brother. This is the question that was asked in the Valley of Texas, and he says it's the payments. Very well. So the Daskinem answers as follows, and I quote. Yes, Leimer, the Hadika Omar, Mikan Shahakaitim, Ikatam Mesim, Hainu, Kayadim, Hedjaitim, Bigoim, Oshasam, She'ain Metamim Betraivim, Shiyas Lahem, Din Kainim Gedolim. That's Kano Valley Texas said. But the Medrash over here said that a Kain is not allowed to be Metamim to a relative, and the Abishah tells the Lazar in the summer, because of Kain, when he's day 1 on the job, when it's first day on the job, he's not allowed to be Mitami B'Krayim. He has a special din. He doesn't have the din of a Kayin Hedid. On day 1 on that Kayin, he becomes a Kayin Hedid. He's not Aaron Kayin, he's one of the sons. When he goes to work, it's his first day. Can you imagine his first day after they built the Mishkan, everything, all the preparation. He's finally doing the Havayna. He has a din of a Kayin Gadol for his first day. And all Kayin of any future generations, according to this Halacha, if it's their first day at work, they have a din like a Kayin. So this is one of the Rishonim that Rabbi Yehoshua brings as a raya to that point of his answer. That when you're starting something off, you have to do it not just good. When you start something off, you got to do it 100% tahara gemura, to use the words of Rabbi Yehoshua. Or like the Das game of Ali says, you have to do it like a Kayin Gadol. You got to do it super duper, over the top, the best way possible. And Rabbi Yehoshua brings other answers. So, other proofs to this idea, to this message. In Chassidus, we also find very often this theme that when you're starting something off, not just the beginning. I mean, it's Rosh, it's called Rosh, you're in Yisrael, it's called the Iker. We all know Rosh Hashanah is coming up. Every child learns this in school. It's not called Tefillah Hashem at the beginning of the year, which is day 1 of 354 days. Not just day 1, it's Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. Just like your head is not just the beginning of your body, it's the head of your body. Controls your body, has an effect on your body the entire time. Rosh Hashanah has an effect on the entire year, and Rosh Hashanah is the same thing. We see in Chassidus this theme very often. And when something is the beginning, it's a Rosh, the Rishon, the Iker, you can't play around. There's a sikh of the Rebbe on the Sikh of the Gimel, where the Rebbe talks about the carbon Tamid, which is quite every single morning. So Tamid, the word Tamid can have really a couple of meanings. It can mean always, it can mean constantly. So the carbon Tamid, so usually we understand the carbon Tamid that it was a carbon because it was brought every single morning. So Tamid Shalsach, so it gets the name Tamid. Every single day you bring the carbon Tamid. But the Rebbe actually explains along this theme that the reason why it's called the carbon Tamid is since that's how they started the morning, that started the Havayla, that carbon had an effect on the whole day because that's how you started your day. So again, here you see the same thing. It's called the carbon Tamid because it is Tamid. The effect of the carbon Tamid was constant, continuous, uninterrupted every single minute of the day. It's a carbon Tamid. And as soon as we know, you go to Programmings about how you go to sleep, and how you wake up, what kind of effect it's going to have on you. And Shabbos Bereshis, we all know the things quoting yourself to connect Shabbos Bereshis. So this theme, Rabbi Yehoshua from the Naskim, Mali Taisus, and Siddhis, Local Pacifics, Mashpiyim, this is a well-known theme. That when you start something off, you have to do it with Torah Gemara. Think about it. The Abishter made a mess for no reason, you may say. They didn't have to make this mess. But the Abishter made the mess, yes, because we're starting off with Chanukah Sabayas, and it has to be done super well. I was there in the summer, we're not allowed to go to their own brother's Hawaii. Think about that for a minute. Not allowed to do any of Abel's things with their brother, because it was their first day of the Hawaii, they have to do it right. So, if there's one message that I want to share tonight before I get to the practical tips that I was asked to share, and all these practical tips will now be just a natural effect of this understanding. But this understanding that this is, I was able to impart one thing tonight is this, that when we start something off, we have to do it 100% correct. And I'll elaborate for a minute. There are some things that throughout the school year, it could be okay. Or maybe not okay, but it can happen. Realistically, it does happen, it will happen, it happens, and perhaps it could be okay. I don't need to get permission or to say it's okay to do whatever I'm about to say. Perhaps it's not okay. In other words, you should try to avoid these situations. But they happen. I'll give some examples. Throughout the school year, it can happen that a child comes late to school. If you come late excused, it's a great reason. You just brother's first in the morning. If you come late unexcused, it happen. They happen. It could be okay. Obviously, excuse be okay, right? It can happen that the family must go late for Shabbos, and they're going to have to miss on Friday, leaving an hour early, coming back Sunday late. It can happen. There can be circumstances where the family must get away. Simcha, a grandfather who's been in Australia for the last 2 years, locked up, and finally came to the United States. There's situations. It could happen that you could go through times in your year where you're overdue for your haircut. Now you just didn't get to the barber yet. You're a little bit overdue for the haircut. It can happen that you schedule doctor appointments, you're in school hours. It can happen that you run out of supplies. You know, you left your pencil and your lead pencil ended, or your highlighter dried up, or one of your supplies ran out. It can happen. It can happen you didn't have a good night's sleep the night before. It can happen that you took your sleeper home to study for a test. Well, whoops, you left it in school and at home that night. The next day you're missing your sleeper in yeshiva. It can happen that your dress code is not perfect. You want only a pair of shoes. You got stuck in a downpour last night. You let it dry, and while you're letting it dry, you only have your sneakers from camp, and they don't exactly fit the school dress code. All these things I'm describing to you could happen. Some of them it's okay for it to happen. They're unavoidable. Try to avoid them. Fine. They happen throughout the whole year. But in the beginning of the year, when we're starting off, when it's the Chanukah Sabayas for this element for the year in Yeshiva, these things can't happen. There's no such thing you come late the first day of Yeshiva. There's no such thing you don't have a haircut, you don't have a scarf, you don't have a supply. It's affecting your whole year. During the year, it's okay. It can happen. During the year, you could like to make it oil and make that if you need them. That situation arises. During the year, try that. You go to the brother's fire. Not the first day, not the first week, not when you start. So that's really the message. All the children in Grand Heights of Baruch Hashem and Mitzvah Hashem starting Yeshiva next week. Us as parents, as the Mechanchim, it's our job that our first week of Yeshiva will be the most over the top, super well planned and executed week to give them a great start and give them a fighting chance to succeed for the rest of the year. You can't start them on it. So now to the part that I was asked to speak about on practical tips. I hope to cover everything. I obviously won't try, and I'll talk a little bit about what to do before school. Some of these things are common sense, very obvious. I put together a list. What to do before school. I'm going to talk about routines. I'm going to talk about the day before school. I'll talk about the first day of school, and I'll also talk about some general points. So before school. Before school is an easy, quick to say this part. Prepare. There is preparation that has to happen for school. Number one, get the right start. Now let's take a moment to speak about that. A child will learn much better and respect school more and do better at his learning if he makes safer. If you give him some ripped up safer that his 20-year-old brother used many years ago and it's colored on the front cover or it's missing a cover and it's scribbled on, not the same. You wouldn't let him go to his nephew's upshirt shirt that's dirty, so why can he go to school with a safer on his stuff? So it's expensive for him and everybody's on a tight budget. So perhaps you have some used for that are in good condition. By all means, use them. But if you don't, you got to get a nice safer. You got to buy a new one. That excitement that the child has. New safer does it. Old safer ruins it. By the way, when you're shopping for Svarim, keep in mind You don't want situations where you have to bring it home to study, back this year and bring it home, and it's forgotten. And then there's a time that you needed it at home and you forgot it in school, the time that you needed it in school and you forgot it at home. Perhaps consider buying a second sleeper of that particular sleep. Supplies, get all the supplies. The school sends out a handbook or a list of supplies, get all the supplies in advance. Can't come to school the first day. My mother said we're getting it next week. The first day, you gotta have all your supplies. Haircut. You don't go to Chasna, you don't go to Rosh Hashanah, you don't go to Pesach without a haircut. First day of school, you come with a fresh haircut. Dress code. How about the proper dress code the first day? This happens often, I should add, unfortunately. Boys do not have, I can say from boys, I work in a boys' school. So boys don't have the proper shoes. And then my mother said that after the teacher, we're going to get new shoes now, we're still going to use up the sneakers that we had in the summer. If that's your plan, that's a very good plan, and be economical, that's great. Buy sneakers that match the dress code. But you can't buy sneakers that don't match the dress code and say, for the first month of school, it's okay to wear them. No, maybe Taka has a little shop, and maybe his school shoes are ruined. He has one day, he has no shoes. We'll come with those by sneakers, but no, sorry, my son has already the proper shoes today. The other shoes go back tomorrow, we'll be back on track. Fine. Not the first day of school. What kind of message is that? Against everything we started off with. So don't delay it. Come with all the starting, all the supplies, haircut, proper dress code, proper everything. And don't delay it and have it all be. That's number one. That's about some preparation that we need to do. It's 1 hour on the avenue, mine, about you. Then there's routine. So children are going up a grade right now. Third grade is becoming a fourth grader, seventh grade is becoming an eighth grader. It's quite common for children's bedtime to change, right? When they're younger, it can be 7:30, then it can become 7:45, then it can become 8:30. Here's one thing I guarantee you. Nobody goes to sleep on time by mistake. You only go to sleep on time if you plan to go to sleep on time. And what does on time mean? There's another thing I guarantee you. You cannot go to sleep on time if you never established that time. And unfortunately, there are many children, not just they don't go to sleep on time, sometimes on a nightly basis, they don't even have a bedtime. So of course they don't go to sleep on time. There's no one time for that. It's like, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So anytime they go to sleep, you're going to be on time for them. They don't even have a bedtime. So right now is a chance for a husband and wife to sit down and think about their children and say, okay, this year our little Yankee is going from 3rd to 4th grade. So we're moving his bedtime from 7:45 to 8:50, whatever it looks for him. But establish that bedtime, because if you don't establish a bedtime, it will never happen. Even when we establish a bedtime, all parents know it's very difficult to get your kids in bed every time, and it's not going to happen this morning. Now, beginning of the year, got to do it right. So first of all, establish what is the bedtime for your children. Think about it now. It's not going to, you're not going to make it a property that the night before school. It's not going to happen. What is the bedtime you want your children to have? Start enforcing your bedtime. This month's a Shabbos already. You can't maybe enforce the bedtime, but make it an early night. It's not a time for outing. It's not a Shabbos. Starting this Sunday night, I recommend that all students start going to sleep at their normal bedtime. Boys' schools are starting Tuesday, so you get Sunday night and Monday night, and that's it. Maybe some schools are starting Wednesday, or younger boys and girls, so there's not many nights to get the routine going. So Sunday night has to be bedtime. And you've got to establish the bedtime first. In my opinion, sharing what I believe and others as well, the latest a family should come back from the country, for any families that are upstate, the latest a family should come back from the country is early Sunday afternoon. After that, it's late already. Early Sunday afternoon, you arrive back in Connecticut, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock. Unpack, huge adjustment, going from the free country, Buffalo County, to your house. You got to unpack, you got to restock, you got to go shopping, you got to get the supplies, you got to go get the starting. Remember, Sunday night is already normal bedtime, right? You got to have a normal bedtime. And the next day, you have to also establish a wake time. Monday, you should already get up at a normal time. Maybe not as early as school would require, but you know, if they're getting up very late now in the summer, especially with between camp and school, Monday, go sleep early Sunday night, and up already a little earlier Mondays. On Tuesday, it's less of a jump on it. So I believe the families should return from the country the latest. I know families should come back even before Shabbos, but I believe the latest the families should come back is early Sunday afternoon. If you come back to the country on Monday night or Tuesday morning, people do that. How in the world do the families be successful in Yeshiva? it's such a huge transition. In a country, you're free, and they're swimming, and they're with their friends, and there's zero structure. And going to school, which is super structured. School is all about structure and routine and procedures. And it's just such a tightness of the night. You're not really giving them a chance. It's not fair for the children. Last night, they were at a late night swim with their friends at the pool. Now they're in yeshiva learning. It's too much, too quick. Sunday afternoon, the latest to come out. That's my take. Let's talk a little bit about the day before school. So, first of all, the rule is you hear to anytime you go to these courses or webinars, the rule is preparation is power. So the more you prepare for any event, the more powerful you are, the more class you have to conquer and do that. So it's time to prepare for school, and it's now the last day, the day before school. There are many children who have a problem with transitioning. Anytime you have a transition, you used to one thing, you want a new setting, a new system, it's difficult for them. I hear that from others all the time. My son is transition. That's true. There are many children who have anxiety or anxious. All kinds of anxiety. Starting a new year in school can be highly anxious for them. A child who usually does not display any anxiousness, starting school, he can become anxious. Guess what? Many parents are anxious about their child's first day in school. So we know the challenge. Transition could be tough for some kids. There are kids that's not a problem. There are many kids who are in general very anxious, so for sure this is a very stressful week for them. And there are many kids who are usually not anxious, but tonight they will be. There are many parents who are anxious. Maybe with the right class, with the teacher, with the right kids, all the worries that are out there. So the first thing I would say is that we need to be calm ourselves as parents. If we're calm ourselves, we have a positive attitude. And we show, even if we're anxious, we hide it. And we show that we're excited about school starting. And we make sure that our home is super calm that day. It can happen that the home is not calm. And that day, everything is calm. No anxiousness. The parents are displayed. Then, if you can help your child. The worst thing is when a child has a condition or a situation, we just label them or satisfy that it's labeled. So, oh, my son, he has anxiety. So now he just say, no, he has anxiety. Now we have to help him. There's things we could do and should do this first day before school, this last day before school, to make that transition and to make that anxiousness just be less, right? Eliminated. So we can't just label him and say he's anxious. Oh, he's very hard transitioning. We have to know that, only to know what we should do about it. Next up, number one is we got to be calm. We got to talk about yeshiva, positive, exciting attitude. The license of that is don't impose your own anxiety on your children. Unfortunately, that happens. A parent can be anxious. They're talking about it. They're displaying it. And the child truly would have not been anxious, but because they're near the anxious parent, they start becoming anxious. So that anxiousness is like nurture. We certainly don't want to do that. Very important to speak about your child's school respectfully in front of your children. You might have an issue with your child's school. You might wish that something was better, and that's totally normal. In front of your child, you have to talk about the yeshiva, about the school, in the most respectful way. How could they have respect for their teacher, principal, and school if you don't? So they only have to hear the most positive things coming from the parent about the school. Your child may have concerns. Let them speak it out. That's the best way to calm them down. You can validate their concerns, and then you can talk about it. You should plan what your first day of school will look like, and talk about your first day of school, but there should be a plan what your first day should look like. And you can speak to your children how Kalas always questions about each other. Today. You can speak to them how beginnings are hard. It's normal for there to be an adjustment. You use the word adjustment, you're implying that you will adjust. So there's an adjustment that has to be made. You may have a child who's going to have a schedule change. He's going from the fourth grade to fifth grade, and now he has to come earlier. Fifth grade to sixth grade, now yeshiva lasts longer. So you may have a schedule change. Everybody's having a teacher change, right? You're having a new teacher, not the teacher who was their teacher last year. There are kids who that grade is getting mixed up. There are kids who are being moved to another class without the grade being mixed up. The school wanted it, and the parents wanted that. So there's a lot of change going on. Well, let's call it an adjustment. And we can talk to our children what's normal the first few days when you want to do situation to feel this way. There's an adjustment, usually 3, 4, 5 days in, it will be okay. So you can talk about that and help them adjust, help them transition, and calm them down. I would also explain to my child that it's very, very normal to love last year's teacher. May I add all of a sudden? Last year, teacher did that. Get them all now, they look back, they love their Rebbe from last year, they wish he would be the Rebbe again. And then this year's Rebbe is not the same way, of course, and school is bad. So I would talk to my children about it, how it's very normal to look back. I remember as a kid myself, I always looked back and I loved my teacher from the year before. I thought it was amazing. But then when I thought back on the year before, well, of course you learned the kindness and this. So you can talk about that to your children. If you know that your child is switching classes, being put with new friends, or skipping a grade or anything like that, for sure the conversation has to happen. They need to be prepared. The worst thing is for a child that I knew that his class was being switched, and I told the parents and I asked them to speak to the children. When I call his name, he's going with the other class, the wrong class in his line. You see that look on his face. They don't forgive me. They think I'm at fault. And if they find out, or when they find out their parents were at fault, they do not forgive their parents. They're shocked that they had that morning when there's a promotions assembly and everybody gets called out, and they weren't called out with their friends, they were called out with the wrong group. And really, this was something planned and thought out and expected for the child, and the child has to be spoken to. It's really not fair to them. It's really, really not fair. And for the child who's particularly anxious, it's very important to have a plan for the first day of school. What are we getting up? What are we doing in the morning? What's for breakfast? Are we walking to school? Are we driving to school? Every little thing is going to have to be anxious. You can't ask you the night before you go to bed, I'm going to school tomorrow. I'll tell you in the morning. Discuss what help you. Can't do that. Just get anxious. So that's something that you put in a plan. Plan it right now. How are the kids going to school? First day of school, great. So you plan the bus is not up and running yet. I'm not working, not work. Figure it out. Make a plan. Anything that's planned, preparation is power, less anxiety, easier transition, better adjustment for the home. I would also encourage my child, and I hope to number two, not about themselves. I would encourage them with a new boy in your class this year, with a new boy, a new girl in your class this year. Think about how they feel and how hard it is for them. I want you, you're my child, and we value in our family this type is, so I want you to be the one who's nice to the kid, who welcomes the kid, who walks home with the kid, makes sure they're comfortable and understand everything that's going on, and introduce them to you. Be that welcoming kid in your class to the new kid in your class. Because that new kid, he's probably not even partner. She's probably not. Now let's talk about the first day of school. The first day of school needs to be celebrated, like Hanukkah. It has to be celebrated. We're starting a new year. You have to be excited. You have to have a great attitude. And we're excited for Mishnas. We're proud of our son Yeshiva. We're proud of our daughter's school. We're proud of you that you're going to 5th grade. We're proud of you that you're going to 8th grade. This year you're going to start learning Gemara. Or this year you're going to start learning some other subject. You're growing up already. There has to be that celebration and that excitement. In fact, it's a Hayram that the first day of school must be the Simcha. The Simcha was just shared with you recently. I believe it's Vav Elul Tafshin Amal, Shabbos Vav Elul, and same. Thank you. And the Rebbe talks about how the first day of school must be the Simcha, and how that Simcha will have an impact the whole year. And how just like a child, when he has a muscle cheder, there's a cake and there's honey and they throw candies in it, and it's all celebration. The first day of school is like that muscle cheder for every single child starting a new grade in school. And it has to be the Simcha. And I know that all the schools here, they have music and they have gifts for each child, and it can't be in this celebration. And at home, you can celebrate as well. You would celebrate another day in your family if somebody earned a certificate or if somebody has a birthday. So some type of similar celebration. There could be a special breakfast. It could be a special snack. They usually go to school by bus, drive them that day, walk on that day. Perhaps there could be a special supper. You could write a little note to each child and put it in their briefcase. There are a lot of little things you can do just to make the day meaningful, special, and show them how important it is to have a great start to their new year. Also, the first day of school, especially if you're the parent of an anxious child, got to be able for the children. I know that it can happen in families that get up very, very early in the morning and they're playing or they read a book or whatever they do, and one of the parents are out of the house already, one of the parents is still in their bedroom. So that's okay if your family that works every day, okay? First day of school, especially if you have that anxious child, get up early, say your alarm to 6:15, get up out of bed, dress, have coffee, your breakfast, everything. When you get up, good morning, and check when you're preparing, and make sure everyone's supplies, and make sure where everything is, tell them how we're going to school, just to be that present for them and calm them down and make that first day an exciting, happy, calmer day, and they will have the best outcomes. If you have a very anxious child, and distraction. Like the first day of school, you're going to get early, you go to one of the stores that open at 8 a.m., and you go buy a cookie for the first day of school, and then you're going to buy snacks for the whole next week. And you can come up, you can play ball, you can do whatever you want. Figure out something, how that early morning from 7:30 till 9:30, so you have to be in school for 10, and this kid is anxious. Figure out how you can easily distract them if they're in that position where you're going to spend some time with them and go shopping and do something. It could be very, very beneficial for that child. The first day of school is also, if you're not able to do this every day, this is beautiful for mother, father to do this every day. But if you can't, first day of school, be there when they come home, you greet them, ask them how their first day was, who their teacher is, with their friends, and learn out. Their concerns are, just be a listening ear for them. And of course, you'll validate all their concerns, you'll listen to them. And then one trick, if they come home and they're very upset and everything's bad, one trick is to ask them to scale it from 1 to 10, how bad was friends. And friends can't. Some friends, teacher, their teacher's a 7. And classroom, they start thinking, it's actually a beautiful classroom. Maybe this was broken or this didn't come yet, whatever the situation may be, and you start putting things in perspective, and they'll usually realize, and hopefully will be the case, that it's not so bad, it's actually rather very good. It's just new to them, there's an adjustment, it's hard, there's a transition, and help them understand that. So be there for them on the first day of school. If they come home from school the first day at 1 p.m., because usually the first day of school they have today, and they don't get to see their parents at 5 p.m., it's a little bit out there for them the first day of school. Now, here's some just general points. So we went through the understanding of how we must start a year, what to prepare before school, the routine, the day before school, the first day of school. And here's some general points and some perhaps don'ts and do nots. Number one, communication is so important. It's of course important on the school end with the parents. The parents also have to communicate, and the parents also should communicate important things to the school. There could be all kinds of situations. A parent could be on a town, a parent could be going through someone in the family having a medical procedure, some other challenge in the family, and or somebody could be a synchrone in the family. Somebody's getting married, somebody's going to get engaged, there's a function that afternoon. And this is how this really applies for the whole year. So it's very important. It makes a world of a difference. The teacher only knew that this kid's mother was out of town after 3 days. The teacher only knew that this kid had his sister's wedding on Monday night, school started Tuesday, and his wedding was Monday night, and he actually made the effort to come to school the day after his sister's wedding because his family values that the first day you don't miss the matter well. Maybe during the school year, if it's a day after the wedding, you miss the day of school, not the first day, right? So the teacher only knew this kind of information. The principal only knew. They have a way to communicate it to the principal and the branch. If you know who the teacher is, so the first day, the teacher gets in touch with you, if you write a note to the teacher, communicate any major thing happening in the family. It's also important to know there are parents who call the school before the school year starts and you request to see the teacher because their older son had that teacher, or older daughter did, and it's a must, and that one's the best. Or I want my kid has to switch classes, and often the school is able to accommodate requests, and then good for you. Sometimes the school can't accommodate every single request. So it's important that your child doesn't know that you requested it. Imagine the child knows my mother wanted me to have that ready, and they didn't. I was meant to be with those friends, I was with one friend. So it's kind of like a pass. So this year I have to be the best year, kind of delegitimizes the whole year because I'm not what I'm supposed to be. So if you were in touch with the school and if you're hoping for something, the school confirmed with you and you know already one way or the other, great. But either way, your child shouldn't know about it, especially if you don't know what's happening. It could have a negative effect on that. Also very important for parents to keep in mind, and something you share with your children. It's totally normal and totally encourage the teachers to be more strict in the beginning of the school year. Because when you're setting it up, you do it right. How you correct the aleph, first comes zero, then comes alpha. The teacher can only be the teacher and have that readiness. And special when you have the alpha the whole year, you start off this year with zero. So it's very common for a teacher the first week of school not to pull all their pumpkins out of their bag, and not to play the games, and not to be so kind, and not to have fun, not to be kind, not to be the warmest, not to be the most jolly. And in the first week of school is a lot more serious. They have helping transition from the summer into structure. Teachers are more strict the first day of school, first week of school. So the child hasn't heard habit, just remind them this is how teachers start off the year, and that's what they're supposed to do. And I'm sure as your teacher gets to know you and you get to know the teacher, and when you get something going, I'm sure it's going to be a good year for your session. It's also important to mark your calendar for which night is going to be open house and attend. Even if you don't attend to hear what the teacher has to say, you need to attend to your parents, to your child to see your way. The child knows that there's open house tonight, and you know that parents are going to know how he's supposed to feel about his teacher in the school. So just for that, for your child to know that you went to open house, you respected that request from school that all parents come to open house. It's very beneficial for the child. Plus, there's plenty to hear from the teacher on what to gain by attending the open house. So mark your calendars. I believe most schools share their open house dates already in their handbook. Mark your calendar and make yourself available for that night. This one's pretty obvious. I don't want to mention it. Tuition is always a big topic. Debate. Tuition too high, too low. We should be paying the math. Ask for this kind of bonus. Or some I don't make in the department in Yeshiva. But certainly, a parent should have a tuition conversation in front of their children. Especially if they're a parent who splurges and spends money on other things like the stigma. Even that, even Taka, they're very conservative, very budgeted. Many families work hard, make ends meet, and they're very, they do it right. And it's tight and it's tough. And I understand. But the conversation should not happen in front of the children. Obviously, here's where I put the do nots. So obviously, not to discuss your son's teacher or your daughter's teacher in front of your child. Once your spouse, teacher, you're there, in front of the child, it's a no-no. It's absolutely a no-no. Now I want to take a moment to talk about the beginning of the year, but the beginning of the year is part of this. And it's my opportunity to share what I feel about this. So when I'm speaking to whoever's here present and online, so I want to take a moment to speak about the concept called class WhatsApp chat. We are a bunch of parents in the class. I have a WhatsApp chat without the teacher, without the school. It's a chat where everybody can chat and a lot of chat going on. And WhatsApp chat. In my opinion, already it's one of the worst things that happened in the last couple of years. The WhatsApp chats are sometimes ridiculous. They're out of control. It harms the parents, makes them anxious for no reason. It harms the children, it harms the school, and it harms the teacher. And I'm going to give you one nourish example. And I'm not taking a very sensitive example where WhatsApp chat is a teacher or a principal or people. I'll take a nourish example of what a classic class WhatsApp chat will look like. Besides the fact that there's an annual argument from Respect for the class should do a meetup and furniture self-punish, should really a meetup or should really individually, that's a million wasted nights on that same old question. But besides for that, oh, this is an important one. I'm not going to say besides. Your children see your phone. If you lend your child your phone to make a phone call or to do something else, they're going to see the WhatsApp chat. So remember we said not to speak about your child's teacher, in front of them, not to talk about tuition. Whatever's there, they're going to see. But I want to give a nice example. I didn't actually see this, but I've been enlightened to these types of conversations. A mother will post, or a father, I don't want to pick on mothers, so a parent will post on the WhatsApp chat, and he or she will write, my son is freezing in the classroom. Anybody else's son complaining about this? That's how the conversation starts. Now, what's the truth? Not one of the people their mother worried about being called in the class. Okay, so that's like, I'll give you the background. What will other mothers are very upset that the classroom is freezing. It's not okay for a classroom to be freezing. So they go and they ask their son. They don't ask, they don't bring it up in conversation. What he's describing a scenario. They go over to their son and say, I heard your classroom is freezing. Is it true? Kid says, yeah, it's true. I can hold it. So then she goes on the WhatsApp chat and he says, yeah, my son also said he's freezing. And it's a snowball effect and everybody's freezing. And everybody's upset at the school. They talk to them, it's freezing in winter, and the cold is going around, and it's terrible, so they're responsible, and what are they thinking, and why can't they have the heat working? Then there's a mother who wants to be very, very positive, and she's a very good approach, very good attitude. She goes on Amazon, she finds a little heater, which is probably dangerous to have in a classroom, and she finds the heater, and she puts a link, she says, how about we buy this heater for our class? And everybody's like, great idea, thank you, Mrs. or Rabbi so-and-so, I'm going to get $10, I'm going to get $10, they're raising money ready for the heater. And everybody on the class chat thinks that the school had a phone call, and the school did not get a phone call. And in fact, the window is left open, but the teacher likes when the window is open. If he knows the kids were cold, with one phone call, he might have closed the window. Or the thermostat was adjusted to keep it a little cooler for some reason, and had a teacher or the principal or whoever not the one phone call, it could have been adjusted. So this is a case where there wasn't even an issue with cloud. It turns into a whole evening of drama on the chat, and it turns into disrespect to the school. And then people who think they're saving the day and they're heroes and they're buying heaters and chicken again and making fundraisers, totally unnecessary. And it just creates a lot of anxiety for the parents. Now, I don't want to give scenarios, but just imagine when the parents are always thinking, oh, did you hear what the teacher did? And did you hear this? And did you hear that? And did you hear what the principal did? And people are seeking information from the children. They're fine, they're happy, they didn't say a word. They say, how did you do that? Is it true? And they turn to this whole conversation, everybody's going on the WhatsApp. Now, how do I know about this? Because I go to some shows, I go to moments, weddings, the living community, and someone's made a parent, and one of you, my friends, will say, oh, so sorry for you. You probably got 20 phone calls this week about the heat in that class. You know what? Again, you probably got 20 phone calls from the parents complaining. So would you believe me if I didn't get even one phone call? Can't be. I promise you, I didn't get even one phone call about this. And this story, I made up a story, just kind of put one together for fun, but to bring up the point, these class WhatsApp chats, they could be positive, like anything in the school. You could use it out in a good way. You help a kid, a class mother who had a baby, and another kid who came from out of town, and encourage your children to be welcome. Beautiful things could happen, of course. But the nature of them is very often they go south, they go negative, they go sour very quickly. It doesn't even help. Nobody picked up the phone to the teacher or the principal. Nobody spoke to their child properly about it. Everybody feels like they're doing something about it. They all posted about it. Nothing happens. The child lost out, the teacher lost out, the parents lost out, the school lost out. Nobody was helped. It was up to me, all the class WhatsApp chats to be closed down. But I know that's not realistic. So what I'm asking is, what I want to encourage is to keep your class chats positive. And if you ever have any grievance or something, don't post it. Call the teacher, call the principal. Reach out to another mother who you think could be helpful to you. And use the chat, not get a plan you're referring. That's fine. But be smart about it. And remember, whatever you post in that chat, the children will see it. And in fact, your child, because you're very careful, your phone has a password, and your child, your team doesn't know, that's fine. But the other child in the class saw it anyway, and he will report in school when you post it. So people come to school and say, I saw your mother wrote on the chat. So it could be really ridiculous. So I don't want to end off with all the do-nots, even though that was the way I set up this presentation. I just want to end off this follows. From my experience, I want to end off with something positive. All the teachers that I worked with, all the teachers that I got to know, all the teachers that my children was lucky to have in the local schools here in Crown Heights, all the teachers mean well. All the teachers want to do a good job. All the teachers want your children to be happy. Every single teacher wants the parents to be happy. They mean it well. Could a mistake happen? Yes. Could a misunderstanding happen? For sure. Could a miscommunication happen? Absolutely. Don't go crazy. Address it properly. Be respectful. Be kind. You call the teacher. Think of all their hard work. You think they went to school wanting to hurt your child, hurt their feelings, or to be a little sarcastic and child to the wrong? Of course not. Of course not. But the teacher could know that perhaps something happened and their child feels hurt, just for them to know. Or maybe you'll be more careful about something, whatever the situation is. Call up, be a match, be respectful to your child's mechanic, to your child's morals, to your child's readiness, to your child's principal. I don't think anybody who's looking at me bad. I don't think so. They're only well, we're all trying hard, no one's perfect. Situations can go a little out of hand. I've had many times where parents call and I was able to clarify something for them because they were respectful. They called and asked a clarifying question. I was able to answer it, and then they had a whole new perspective on that event. And actually, said, "Oh, thank you for doing that." This was good. I sent it to that part. So just pick up the phone or send an email and communicate. I believe that almost all the issues that you may experience with the children's here is proper communication. They can all be resolved. And finally, daven. You should daven that your children should be successful. We should all daven that our children should be brought in the right way and have successful years. And the Mr. Stone should be better at the shift between many of you. Thank you for joining.